Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. It is the 2nd of December, I've followed up on my promise. And today's video, I'm going to be talking about how the Path of Titans metas have changed over the course of me playing the game. So this isn't through Pot's entire history, this is just my couple of years of playing the game, and basically how the metas have changed, like what's the best and strongest way to play. Of course, I will be ignoring the mega packs because that has and always will be the meta. I'm going to ignore that, and I want to go for more of a single player or small group type thing. So anyway, yes, if you are new here, make sure to like and subscribe, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Alrighty, so this video, as I explained in the intro, is a bit of a history lesson about the Path of Titans metas. However, I really do hope that this isn't just a history lesson for some of you, and it also helps you understand the current game balancing and why the game has been taken in the direction that it has. So, anyway, the first meta that I'm going to talk about that I encountered 3 years ago is semi-aquatics. Now, way back before Gondor existed, you can see we're on Pandora, way back before Gondor was even conceived, probably, semi-aquatics ruled everything. So we had Spinosaurus, Concavenator, Sarcosuchus, and Deinocheirus. They were at the top of their classes. Corsuchomimus sucked even then. It genuinely just sucks. Before its first DLC, it sucked. And then after its second DLC, after its first DLC, it sucked again. So I won't be talking about him, but Spino, Conch, Sarco, and Deinocheirus, they were at the top of their classes. And it started, I want to start mostly with Spinosaurus, because Spinosaurus was literally toppling T-Rex. And it was mostly because Alderaan gave it a charge bite, and this charge bite had about a 2-second cooldown, a 2-second wind-up time, 0 stamina cost, 0 speed nerfs, and it did over 100 damage. Now, back then, T-Rex was pretty good. It had, a good amount of combat weight. Spinos was just as good. Spino had about the same health, but this charge bite was ridiculous. Spino was able to trot faster, turn better, and, with the casual of being a semi-aquatic, it could just go in the water, charge bite, run out, hit it, go back into the water, rinse, repeat, and there was very little the T-Rex could do. Next up, I want to discuss Concavenator, because Concavenator was also pretty busted back then. And for a similar reason, it had an attack which it could spam and would outclass everything, and that was its kick. Concavenator could spam this kick anywhere it wanted to. It could, be running through a field, be running off of a cliff. It could literally spam the kick, and the kick at the time had momentum, which pushed it forwards, which let it kill things that were smaller than it. Literally, Struthiomimus couldn't run away. It couldn't do anything. Poor Struthi. And Concavenator was just ridiculous back then. Then we have Sarcosuchus. Similar problem with Spino, except this time Sarco has a little bit of bleed. Because Sarco's asphyxiating bite didn't exist, instead it was a bleed bite. It also had its old animation. However, Sarco's charge bite, it was ridiculous. This was only changed when Sarco got its charge bite taken away, which was very recently actually in the grand scheme of the time. Of the timeline, that is. But back then, Sarcosaurus, Spinosuchus, they were basically the same. You would charge up your bite, lunge from the water, bite something, quickly run back in, rinse, repeat. It was uncounterable and unfair, unless you was, a semi-aquatic yourself. And, they were really quick in the water as well, so it wasn't like they were sluggish at all. Except for Deinocheirus. Deinocheirus was okay. It was in a bit of an odd spot. It wasn't the best swimmer. It had about 20 seconds of oxygen. However, its raw stats in terms of damage and health and combat weight, it was on par with T-Rex. So we had a giant Deinocheirus, which wasn't lighter than T-Rex or faster. It was about the same speed, but it was so good at dealing damage. It had 2 spammable attacks. It had its claw and its bite. And that's pretty much all it had. It only had those 2 things, and its tail attack, obviously, but everything had that. And it was just insane. Deinocheirus was ridiculous. It was one of the best herbivores. It could topple a T-Rex, it could topple an Eotrike. Not easily, but easier than it can do right now. And it just made semi-aquatics so good. They were the best and most powerful creatures to play, and the most unbalanced, since they could swim and dive, which gave them such an advantage. You know, imagine your opponent is running away, they're on low health, they're running away from you, and they have to walk around a river. Oh no, imagine if I could just swim across it. Uh-oh. Or, you know, if you're low on health and, you know, there's a T-Rex running at you and you're like a concavenator, I'll just go take a swim. I'm just gonna swim. Just escape by the water. It was ridiculous, and there was little to no counter. The next meta I want to talk about is Venom. Now, this might be coming off to a bit of a surprise, considering I have literally made a video going over Venom about why it sucks. If you haven't seen that video, I'll leave a link to it in the description below. However, Venom in the past, which is what I'm discussing, was basically the best thing to have in the entire game. It was uncounterable, it was insanely OP, and it wasn't even just tied to one dinosaur or one playable. And that's because Venom, a long time ago, before Gondor, used to drain stamina. That's right, not just slow the regen, or at one point it just paused the regen. That was very short-lived. It used to just drain your stamina completely. This would happen over the course of about 30 seconds. So if you had 30 seconds of Venom or more and didn't sit it off, uh-oh, you got no stamina. And, you know, even if your stamina was gone, did you get any immunity or anything? Nah, it just kept your stamina gone forever until you got rid of your Venom. And the worst part is, Venom was applied by Metriacanthosaurus and Megalania. Now, I believe Metri had a heavy Venom attack, like a heavy bite. I might be wrong, let me know in the comments, like, correct me if I'm wrong on that, it's just my memory. But either way, it applied Venom as well as Megalania did. And it was stupidly good. It could get at least 10 minutes of a sprint. Like, if you were sprinting and you had Venom, you'd have at least 10 minutes. And that's, like, insane. And that would be if you're, like, a Struthi or a T-Rex. If you was quicker than this thing, and you got bit with Venom, you better hope that you can run away before your stamina is gone, because it's over. If you was a smaller dinosaur, gone. Bigger dinosaur who relies on heavy attacks, gone. But not because of the dinosaurs applying the Venom that were the threat. Unless you're the small thing, then they are. But if you was an Apex, the threat wouldn't be the Metri or the Meg. It would be what they were with, because let me tell you, if you're new to Path of Titans, nobody is alone in this game. Unless you're like me and you want to play on your own, nobody plays solo. And those who do, I salute you. You brave soldiers. Keep marching on. But back then, the majority of people would either be like a Metri with a T-Rex, because they knew that you couldn't escape. Once the Metri or Megalania bit you, it was over. There was no heal call back then, but you couldn't escape. Your time was limited, very limited. If you relied on, you know, stamina for charge bites, like T-Rex did, or I think, what's another one? Dasp, I think, Daspletosaurus as well. If you relied on stamina, good luck. You better make sure those couple of bites you can get count. And if you needed to swim and you wasn't semi-aquatic, good luck, because you are now literally just going to drown. It was tough. It was genuinely tough. Venom was pretty good. It was so broken, which of course led to it being nerfed, which is why it is where it is at today. Alright, so the next meta, which again, we're still on Pandora, this is before Gondor existed, was very simply just Ceratosaurus. It wasn't a status effect, it was just Ceratosaurus. This thing was uncounterable for a long time, a good couple of months. Alderon didn't touch it, it was just like, here you are, have Sarato, and that was it. They just left us to it, and players quickly realized Sarato was in a league of its own. It was a 2-slot, but in a league of its own. It was the strongest creature for its size. It had insane health, insane armor, insane bleed and venom resistance. It could literally sit off the max bleed and venom in a couple of seconds, like 10, 20 seconds, just sat down. Whoops. 5 minutes of status effects gone? Don't mind if I do. It could swim decently well, on top of also having pretty good stamina. However, the thing that made it the most broken thing in the entire game was its charge bite. And this is mostly because of how Bone Break was back then. I may have lied when I said it's not because of a status effect, but it kind of is. Sarato was good because of the status effect, but it also had other stuff to carry it. But anyway, Bone Break. Fracture didn't exist. We didn't have Fracture or Fracture immunity. Bone Break was its own thing. So if you got hit with Bone Break, that's it. Leg snapped. Womp womp. However, it did not last for just 10 seconds. It lasted for 30 seconds. And again, no immunity. If you hit that 30-second cap, whatever was applying it could just keep going and going and going and going and so on. And Ceratosaurus just so happened to be given given Bone Break on its charge bite one day, which completely ruined it. It was far too good. There were Ceratos mobbing entire POIs, and there's nothing you could do. Like Corpse Cove, Spine Lizard Lagoon, what's a Bars Boldia? Ceratosaurus only. It was insane. Like, you generally could not kill this thing. It would stun you forever, and if it was grouped with a T-Rex, oh, I am so sorry. For any of you who were playing Iguanodon or a Marga, not a Marga. A Marga didn't exist back then. Oh my god. But for any of you who were playing like Eotrike or Barsboldia, there we go. They existed back then. And a Serato hit you, and there was a T-Rex nearby. It's over. You could not survive that. It was painful. And you couldn't even counter Serato with, like, grabbing or anything. That didn't exist. Grabbing didn't exist. Hatsugopteryx? What's a flyer? What do you mean fly? There's no wings in this game. However, as you can see, we're on Gondor. Things drastically changed. Sarato got nerfed, we got flyers, Venom was nerfed, semi-aquatics were balanced out to not be broken, and everything was well. You know, it was peaceful. Everything felt balanced. However, due to us getting flyers and Gondor, the Pounce update ruined everything. Hell absolutely broke loose that day because grabs, too good. Could not counter them. You couldn't escape them. You couldn't buck before you were drowned or dragged to the bottom of a lake. Not even to be drowned, just killed defensively or defenselessly. It was painful. And not only that, but Pouncing. I feel so bad for modded dinos the day Pouncing released. Modded dinos couldn't pounce. Or, sorry, they couldn't buck. There was no bucking for modded dinosaurs at all. And vanilla dinosaurs, they couldn't even buck fast enough. They could not press the button, simply the game just didn't allow you to press it quick enough. And it didn't drain enough stamina. Which meant if you got pounced by, like, let's say 2 raptors, and you're a T-Rex, goodbye T-Rex, those 2 raptors, they're gonna just spam pounce, bleed you out, nothing you can do, absolutely nothing. It was insane, it was just unfair, and there was nothing you could do. And again, you couldn't even get out of a grab. The only way you could survive being grabbed is if the Sarco that grabbed you was awful at the game, or option B, if your friend did knockback. If you had a friend who could do knockback, which at the time, tail attacks got their knockback removed. Oh, Alderon, you knew what you were doing! Which at the time, that was a thing, so you couldn't even knock back anything with your tail. At least not on most dinosaurs. It was basically over. You were trapped in that Sarco's mouth until it drowned you. And it sucked. It sucked for a time. The Sarco had its charge bite too. So what you would have, and if any of you did this to me, I hate you with a burning passion. I'm kidding. But if any, you could literally grab someone as a Sarco, put them in the middle of a lake, and just look at them, and then charge your bite up, and one-shot them. It was awful. The many people that lost lives to that, including myself many times, I am so sorry. I wish things had changed. And luckily they did. Alderon, thankfully, oh my god, Alderon thankfully made bucking be able to be done faster. They added it for Switch and mobile as well, because it didn't exist for them for some reason. Then they made it so it also drained more stamina, then bucking became too good, and now they finally balanced it out. Which, thankfully. And that leads me onto the final meta. I'm not going to swap dinosaur or map because I've already covered this meta. It was in a recent video, which again, I'll put with the Venom one in the description with a linky. Feel free to go watch that. and the current meta is Bleed. Bleed is just abhorrent, it is rampaging the current game, and I don't know what there can be done to nerf it other than remove it. But anyway, that's for another video, which if you want to go watch that, go check that out in my Bleed video, which I have, again, I'll link that in the description, as well as my Discord and the Venom video. Feel free to go watch those. Anyway, that is going to be everything for this video. I hope you've enjoyed. Thank you to making it to the end. And yeah, make sure to like and subscribe. Helps me out a lot. Have a good day, everyone. And thanks for watching. Goodbye.